Hello there, hello there, hello there, my little chicken squirrels. How are we all? I'm alive. And less sweaty than I have been over the last few days, so that's nice. Yes, apologies for the fact that Christy was not able to be with us just this evening. Tis evening, whatever that means. I've turned into some sort of Victorian poet. Forsooth. Apologies, 1 second. Yes. Yes, she's stuff. She's awesome. Go and say. I command you to go and say nice things to her if you can contact her on social media. Yes. Be nice. She's awesome. Anyway. Yes. So. I am here though to talk us through humanity's descent into the abyss. Yeah, it's going badly. Obviously, we know that Iran has been attacked by Israel and America, and they've clapped back because, yeah, obviously. Which might lead to a genuine situation. This is one of those times where we need Trump to live up to the taco or however the fuck you want to pronounce it. Not heritage. That's not the word I'm looking for. Stereotype. No. Monica. Whatever. We need him to shit himself and be like, oh no, no. And not respond. And not responding is not really a thing he does very well, unfortunately. So, we'll wait and see. He's essentially done that in a statement since the attack. Yeah, but Trump is one of the worst people in the world when it comes to, like, listening to the last person he said. Like, we are still within, technically, the 2-week limit he gave to the Iranians to sign a deal or else, and then they just started bombing because obviously. So the fact that he said now that it doesn't really matter. Netanyahu will be in his ear. There may even be, dare I say, some kind of false flag event, maybe some sort of psyop type deal. Because Netanyahu can't let this go now. It's going very badly for him and for America. He needs it to get a lot worse. Like, a lot worse. Like, bombing Iran into, back into the Stone Age type worse, you know. I've got food as well. Nom nom nom. But you're all jealous you're not working in a country going to war. Well, I'm in Britain, and there's no doubt that if America goes to war, Britain goes to war. I'll just put it this way. I will have my 2 legs at the end of this. They may be melted from the radiation of the nuclear exchange, but I will possess those legs. I am fucking starving, by the way. I got pork pie, bitches. Hey Kev, I'm trying to use my Amazon Prime for Kev's channel, and it's not fucking there. You need to link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch channel in order for that to or Twitch account to allow that to take place. I don't know how to do that though.
Stop
so I'm
it.
not going to pretend that I
Get some help.
can help you with that, but that's the spiel that I say. Alright, Clem H. Fandango, shut the fuck up, mate. I'm going to get to you. Just chill. God dang it. The Rome Report. That doesn't need... What what a weird niche reference point. Hang on a second. Fuck me sideways. Where's the... There we go. Boom. 255. I'm sort of doing my shtick. I'm sort of warming up, you know, doing the small talk at the start of the show, and you interrupted that repeatedly to do your weird meme that no one's gonna get. No one knows who this person is. Well, not no one, but like, not that many. And especially, no one knows what that's a reference to, which would be the Rubin Report. Basically, the joke here is gay Nazi sells himself down the river and comes a cropper. Because, you know, the fascists hate him. For those who don't know, the person's face you see there is a man who did exist, but thankfully does not. Can we get some lols in chat? His name was Ernst Röhm. He was ahead of the Sturmabteilung, the SA, the original brown shirts in Nazi Germany, stormtroopers, and he was a homosexual man, which was tolerated as long as he was useful, and then when it came time, the Nazis killed him. Literally executed him. Dragged him and his friend out of bed, and, I say friend, partner, whatever, and murdered them, to shot them dead. As part of a larger purge, of course, but... Anyway, and the joke being that he's like Dave Rubin, a gay Nazi selling himself out to far right. Yeah. So, 255, have I adequately mentioned your fucking meme now? Can I move on to the things that I was going to talk about? You crazy mother flipper. Anyway. Have you heard that Rangers are reportedly looking at Romano Mussolini? The answer to your next question is yeah, of course it is, yeah. Anyway, thank you, Niall, 1797, for resubscribing. What a time to be alive. Indeed, what a time to be alive, Niall. I'd rather wish that I was not living through yet another historic moment. I'd take some fucking boredom. I've lived through too many weeks that contain decades. How about a decade that contains a week? I'd be down with that. Thank you, Zebra. Also, Big Zebra, even. Who is still not Rory Katz. Not the real Rory Katz at all. It says 21. It says found it. Oh, you were the. Oh, you wanted to do the Amazon Prime thing. Well done. Yeah. Well, there you go. Thank you. Welcome aboard, everybody. Anyway, if you wanted to, likewise, assist me in buying pork pie and other non-fatty foods, you can do so in the following ways. I can't get my fucking hands off this. Very nice. Anyway, I'll wait. I'll wait until I'm watching a thing and they're knocking out. So, if you wanted to help me out, if you're on twitch.tv/KFLogan1875, word, you can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can subscribe. Just punch the bin. You can subscribe with Amazon Prime, as indeed Big Zebra did. If you need advice on how to do that, ask Big Zebra. It's very fresh in their memory. You can give subs to the community. You can do bits messages, 200 bits or more, gets you a text-to-speech. You can do super chats via the Streamlabs link below. $2 or more there, gets you a text-to-speech. You can help me out on Patreon and or PayPal. Patreon is very useful because it's a regular monthly thing, so like that helps.
Stop it. Get some help.
You can check out the Discord. I've got YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. If you're on YouTube, oi the fuck, oi YouTubes, how am yous? You can subscribe to the channel for fuck all. You can thumb the video up. You can get alerts via the bell icon thing. You can become a member for 99 pence. You can gift memberships for that exact same price. And you can do super chats, which I will read out. They'll also possibly scare the shit out of me. Depends. Thank you, Duck Authority, for resubscribing. It says, buy an extra pork pie for Rory cats, or as an offering to the cat-sized rats of Birmingham. Well, they are feasting well still, so I don't feel like I need to buy them anything. They are high on the hog. Not literally, and no one's throwing pigs away. Actually, there are probably people throwing sausages away or something, you know. Free the sausages. Release the sausages. Has America struck Iran back after they sent missiles after the bases? Not, as to the best of my knowledge, as of yet, no. No. But anyway, on that point, or sort of on that point, in the general area of the Middle East / the West's involvement in that, the British government has had an interesting one today. To be sure, it is announced that it is going to try and ban the group Palestine Action, which you may remember was the organisation that spray painted planes on a military base. Apparently that's going to be up there now with Al Qaeda and ISIS. Excellent. So they're going to be prescribed. Technically that motion will be tabled on the 30th, so next week or whatever. In theory, it could be rejected. It won't be. Because the Tories love it, the Labour Party love it, because they're allowed to, they can do like, oh, that's crime, and crime's always bad. Reminds me of the old quote about how, was it, Liberals are in favour of every direct action campaign except the one currently ongoing, and every civil rights campaign except the one currently ongoing. And they're against every war except the one that's going on right now. Roll that on for eternity. Anyway, the same people who will do, you know, aren't the suffragettes awesome? When it comes round to the fucking day on which you get to say that sort of shit in Parliament. Usually the anniversary of the Voting Rights Act or something like that. Forgetting, of course, that literally the suffragettes mailed bombs to people and smashed windows and attacked people and broke up a meeting of Parliament by interrupting from the public gallery, forcing a kerfuffle with the police and a temporary suspension of parliamentary activities. I wonder if that had gotten them prescribed as terrorists nowadays. Also, just as an aside, interesting the amount of money that pro-Israeli lobbyists have given to the Labour Party. 50 grand to the Prime Minister. £215,000 to the Home Secretary, the person who makes this decision. 102,000 to the spineless, feckless gimp lord that is the Foreign Secretary David Lammy, etc., etc. We are bought and paid for. Also, as it turns out, the planes that were vandalised weren't even actually RAF planes. They were private contractor planes that get leased back to the RAF. So they didn't even attack state property. And yet. And, of course, just to top things off, the police spent the day roughing up people who are pro-Palestine protesters in London. Beating the ever-loving shit out of them in the streets. Cool. That's awesome. Including, of course, knocking this elderly Jewish man to the floor. You know, to stop the anti-Semitism. You know, so that's cool. Feel slightly sorry for Zelensky as well, because he turned up today, he was in London, and no one gave the slightest shit. Like, you won't have heard that in the news, because you're yesterday's war, Volodymyr. I told you this at the very start. I told you they'd move on to their next campaign of imperialism. I told you. I told you NATO would ignore you and just, like, brush you off. Why would they give a fuck? They don't care about the people of Ukraine. Are you joking? Also, he's now wearing a suit, which is a little disappointing if I'm entirely honest. Also, oh god, there's just too much funny shit going on. Trump is so desperate, so utterly desperate, that he's like, everyone keep oil prices down. I'm watching. Yeah, OPEC really give a fuck what you have to say, you cunt. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it. Naughty, naughty oil company. Yeah, don't do the thing that makes you lots of money. Do the thing that would be convenient politically for me. You fucking prick. I think someone's arsehole is tightening fucking... is closing up tighter than the Straits of Hormuz right now. Oh! Unbelievable shit. Anyway, on to the actual news itself. So Iran has fired missiles at bases in Qatar, I believe. Yeah. So let's have a look at what Channel 4 had to say about it.
Iran said it would retaliate, and tonight it did, launching missiles at US bases in Qatar, with air raid sirens also sounding in Bahrain, home to the US Fifth Fleet. The main US base in northeast Syria is also on full alert. Airspace over much of the region remains closed. The Al Udeid Air Base is the biggest US military facility in the region. It's a key air and logistics hub with around...
What's this? Trump has called the Iranian response very weak and thanked them for early notice. What? Also, can we just point out that the fact that Trump had to bomb Iran 2 nights running shows that he didn't destroy all of their facilities in the first run? Just saying.
10,000 American troops stationed there. Iranian
Why have you got 10,000 troops in Qatar, you mad cunts?
State media said the Al-Assad air base in Iraq was also targeted.
Oh,
But
Assad.
there have been no reports of any explosions there. All this after Israel gave details of its latest strikes on Iranian government sites in Tehran. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, reports.
Tonight, Qatar's air defences are active as Iran targets the US base at Al Udeid, just outside Doha. At least 1 missile was intercepted. Airspace over Bahrain and the UAE has also been closed as Iran carries out its revenge, Operation Annunciation of Victory.
That's a dumb name for it, but cool.
Last month, President Trump visited the 10,000 US service personnel at Al Udeid, the biggest US base in the region, sounding relaxed.
But I want to give a special hello to Al Udeid Air Base, sometimes referred to as the Deed. That's a little sinister.
Tonight,
Fuck me. He nearly killed me. I nearly choked on a pork pie. What the fuck? Honestly. He's... without ever meaning to be that funny, he is unironically fucking hilarious, right? Like, he's not trying to be funny there. That he means that. He genuinely means whatever the fuck that shite that just came out of his face was. And it's just the dumbest, funniest shit imaginable. He's a fucking lunatic. Do you see he's misspelled his fucking name as well? Hang on. Where is that? God, I don't know. I fucking bookmarked some shite. Where is it? Here we go. The great B-2 pilots have just landed safely in Missouri. Thank you for the job well done. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Donald J. Trump. Donald. Donald. His name is Donald. Like, people said that I was being mean when I pointed out that Joe Biden's brain had melted. Be under no illusions, Donald Trump's mind has also melted. It's just, in the Republican Party, that's not a fucking drawback. That's not something that people care about. You can be mentally fucked and racist at the same time.
Iran reportedly coordinated its attacks with Qatar so the base could be evacuated, a sign that the Islamic Republic's revenge may be to some extent performative. The US base
It's entirely performative.
at Ain al-Assad in Iraq, shown here after an Iranian attack in 2020, is reported also to be under fire tonight. Then as now, the Iranians gave advance warning, retaliation as symbolism to save face. This morning, without warning, Iran fired a missile that hit the desert near Ashdod in Israel. The Israeli Air
Finding out, bitches.
Force has also been in action. Earlier today in Tehran, a security camera captured the moment the Israelis struck Evin prison. People drove towards.
So you're bombing people who cannot possibly escape. Amazing. Amazing shit. Fucking mad.
The explosion. One political prisoner managed to call his family, who recorded the conversation.
They dropped bombs on
How many died? How many of these political prisoners is Israel fucking killed today?
us. They're still bombing. Some people have been injured. The windows were ripped out. Everyone scattered. It's still going on. I don't know if it's targeted or not, because bombing a prison doesn't make sense at all.
Prison buildings were damaged and some prisoners reportedly injured. 2 French nationals are amongst those being held. People rushed
That's
to
alright then, we don't care about them.
see if their family members had been hurt or had escaped.
It's a complete disaster. I feel like I'm losing my mind. They've hit Ward 7, Ward 9, the solitary confinement wing. They've destroyed everything. My son's life is in danger. Why won't they release him?
A few miles to the west in Karaj, Israel targeted a Revolutionary Guard headquarters, as well as routes to the Fordo nuclear facility, presumably to prevent access. Satellite photos.
But I thought you totally destroyed it. So why does it matter? Oh yeah, you're full of shit, yeah, cool.
Show that the US bombing damaged the site, but it's impossible to confirm President Trump's assertion that Iran's nuclear program has been obliterated.
I'm telling you right now it hasn't. And I know that because Trump said it has.
At this time, no one, including the IEA, is in a position to have fully assessed.
Also, we're going to have to do it again, aren't we? Because no one seems to want to mention it. No one seems to want to talk about this. And the British media, so there we go. We'll just leave that up. We'll just leave that up on the screen. It seems like pertinent information to me. Seems like something that should be a part of this story that never is.
Assessed the underground damage at Fordo. Given the explosive payload utilized and the extreme vibration sensitive nature of centrifuges, very significant damage is expected to have occurred.
Iran's foreign minister was in Moscow trying to drum up diplomatic support.
And Putin went, I'd love to help, mate. I'd love to help. But I'm beginning to look a little bit like Alec Ferguson. And that's not a good situation. He does look a bit like Alec Ferguson.
These aggressive actions by Israel and the US are completely illegitimate and violate international rules and norms. We are defending our sovereignty and country, and our defense is legitimate.
All right,
The
mate, fucking
Russian
hell.
leader has been lukewarm in his support for his ally Iran, condemning the US and Israel, but showing no desire
It's almost like he's had his back broken. He tried to bite off a little bit more of Ukraine than he could possibly chew. Hasn't gone well for you, has it, Vlad? You dopey cunt.
for military engagement.
This absolutely unprovoked aggression against Iran has no basis or justification whatsoever.
European leaders are doing a diplomatic dance, professing themselves in favour of talks, not strikes, while seemingly glad that the Americans have done the dirty work.
NATO has said Iran should not, and this is a consistent position of NATO, Iran should not have its hands on a nuclear weapon. So, and I would not agree that this is a...
Now, I happen to agree with him. I don't want a country that is run by religious fanatics, dangerous religious extremists to have access to nuclear weapons. Which is why I am calling on the international community to assist in removing America's nuclear arms. Because, oh God, where is it? Fuck's sake. Oh God, don't tell me it's been deleted. That would be very annoying at this point. Here we go. This was outside the White House.
From the east, the west, the north, and the south, you will shake America with your power and your glory. We cancel every assignment of the enemy. This nation was birthed to be one nation under God, and we are standing on the soil of the White House, and we are declaring your word. Every place that our foot will trod, you will give it to us, and we are taking the land. We thank you, O Lord. You have brought us to the kingdom for a time such as this, and this is the time. And so we declare right now, from the capital of our nation, that America will come back to God. We will come back to God. Nothing will stop this nation. And we speak right now by the authority of heaven. You told us to bring heaven to earth. Heaven is being released through your people right now. We just thank you right now, Lord, from the east.
You may have noticed as part of that clip, there were literally people speaking in tongues, which is, I have to say, completely made up psychotic mentalness. So, you know. Just saying, like, maybe religious psychos shouldn't have access to nuclear weapons. I quite agree.
Against international law, what the US did.
In Tehran, state TV, broadcasting sporadically, is trying to rally the nation, playing Moeen, a beloved singer previously banned by the country's Islamic rulers. I love my homeland, he sings, the wellspring of art and culture. Patriotic music for Iranians as they wait to see if America and Israel will strike their homeland again.
Well, let's go to Israel now and get the latest from our foreign affairs correspondent, Secunda Kermani in Tel Aviv. Secunda.
Well, Chris, those images from the skies above Qatar are very dramatic, aren't they? Air defences in action trying to shoot down Iranian missiles. But I think all the signs are that this was a carefully calculated move by the Iranians, designed as a response to America's bombing raid over the weekend, but a response that would not further escalate the situation. Iran stressed...
Exactly. Look, this is the kind of chill situation. They couldn't just not respond. That would be fucking ridiculous. So this saves face whilst not really giving America the excuse, or the neocons the excuse they want, for the time being.
For example, that it used the same number of missiles as America used bombs on Saturday night. Iran, it also seems, as you heard in Lindsay's report there, told the Qataris ahead of this strike they would have presumably passed the message on to the Americans. We know the base had already been evacuated. No casualties were caused. Of course, we'll have to wait and see.
I'm not
if
aware
Iran
of
has
that
anything further
225,
in
no.
store, how President Trump reacts. But one Western official I was talking to suggested this was a good opportunity for all sides to take the win, as he put it. What slightly complicates
Did they kill a US troop? No. If they had, you'd hear nothing else. But if they'd killed an American troop, there'd already be a movie being made about him and how what a fucking hero he was and how he died for America's freedoms and blah blah blah. You'd know his name, you'd know his backstory, you'd know what he ate for fucking breakfast. Yeah.
Situation is Israel's ongoing war with Iran. I was speaking to one government lawmaker earlier and asking at what stage Israel's attacks would stop. No real clarity from him, I have to say, although tonight is one of Israel's...
Really? The Israeli government didn't give you a great deal of clarity? Well, I am shocked, because they're usually so fucking truthful. You can usually trust an Israeli government minister to give you the absolute God's honest truth. So I'm surprised, shocked, dare I say, that they haven't on this occasion. A rare slip.
Israel's military spokesman has said for now the attacks are going to continue.
And so what next?
Okay.
Well, potentially a return to negotiations. They were taking place between the US and Iran over its nuclear program prior to Israel launching its war with Iran, although they were stuck around this US demand for Iran to completely give up uranium enrichment. Perhaps now that it's weakened, Iran...
Well, hang on. Completely give up uranium? So, hang on a minute. So they literally aren't... The Americans are literally saying now that they don't want them to even have a civilian nuclear energy capacity. Because there's no fucking thing in the world. There's no piece of international law that's ever suggested that a country is not entitled to that. Amazing. Amazing shit. What's this? 2-minute report on Israel's nukes. Let's have a look.
Israel has never formally admitted to having nuclear weapons, and its program remains a closely guarded secret. Despite this, international groups and observers have been monitoring the information coming out of Israel for decades.
Israel has a policy not to confirm or deny its nuclear arsenal. But we know through declassified documents, through satellite imagery, and through information presented by whistleblowers that Israel does in fact have a nuclear arsenal.
Well, not just that, but we know they do because occasionally an Israeli government minister will slip up. Always in Hebrew, because you can always tell who it's being aimed at, the particular piece of propaganda. If they're speaking in English, they're talking to the Americans. If they're speaking in Hebrew, they're talking to largely fucking mental case Zionists in the domestic audience, right? And so it has to be translated, of course, but they will slip up in Hebrew and say something along the lines of, we should nuke X country. Which is not a thing that a country that didn't have nukes would say.
About 90 nuclear weapons.
The nuclear research reactor at Dimona in southern Israel is responsible for producing the fissile material used in the warheads, operating from the 1960s onwards. This became public in the mid-80s when a disaffected worker at the plant, Mordecai Vanunu, revealed some of its secrets. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Israel appears to be upgrading its plutonium production reactor site at Dimona, as well as running tests for its Jericho family of nuclear-capable missiles. The Jericho 2 and 3 are the most advanced long-range missiles in Israel's arsenal. They can be launched quickly and have a range of up to 4,000...
Ironically, those ones can reach London.
...and 800 kilometers. And this isn't Israel's only choice. A type of cruise missile, the Popeye Turbo, can be launched by fighter jet and also through the torpedo tubes of one of Israel's 6 Dolphin-class submarines, which can remain submerged for over a week. One of the latest versions, the INS Drakon, has a highly unusual sail thought to house missile tubes, seen here undergoing sea trials in Germany a few days ago. Gathering the information on Israel's nuclear-related program has been gradual and not just based on whistleblowers.
Certainly the U.S. intelligence community and others, I mean, obviously there were these conversations.
Miles Pomper is not a real name. That isn't a real name, sir. I don't know who you're trying to kid, but Miles Pomper is nonsense. That's just some noise.
At high levels between U.S. officials and Israeli officials, and some of that information got out. And then there's Obviously the Dimona reactor is there and has, no civilian purpose.
Despite the intense secrecy, classified US government documents and Western observers conclude that not only does Israel have a viable nuclear capability, but a variety of means to deliver those warheads across continents. Alex Katopoulos, Al Jazeera.
So again, just to reiterate, Israel does have nuclear weapons.
Could agree to those kinds of terms. That's unclear, but certainly given Iran has chosen not to launch a larger attack, there's an opportunity for an off-ramp now.
Hopefully this is like the high watermark of the affair. Hopefully this is as bad as it gets now. And that... Yes, 255, thank you for that for the link. Hopefully this is as bad as it gets and that there won't be an escalation from here. But who knows? Who knows? Now, there are a couple of things I want to get to. Hang on, where are we? We can... Oh, there we go. I did want to see what George Galloway had to say, just because it's George Galloway, so you know he's going to say something mental. Look at him. He's literally wearing a fucking trilby at the age of 200 years. Like, obviously. And then there's the thing from the House of Commons where David Lammy, the bought and paid for Israel shill, will give a statement about the Middle East to about a third of the fucking MPs that could have fit into the chamber. Brilliant. We are a very serious country.
By way of deception, make war. That's exactly what's been going on, not for the last 2 weeks, not for the last 2 months, but very much longer than that. It was always the plan that the United States empire, under whichever president, would try to destroy the Islamic Republic of Iran. They tried every which...
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that Trump is very happy that there's a very quick distraction from the fact that Elon Musk said that he was on the Epstein files. Something that I was already very firmly convinced of anyway, given that he was close personal friends with him for many, many years. But there you go.
Way. They tried sanctions, murderous sanctions, beyond all precedent. But that did not work. They tried terrorism. They tried assassinating nuclear scientists. They tried the sneak attack 2 weeks ago, and they've been lying ever since. Deception was the order of the day. Or as Secretary Hegseth said, misdirection. Misdirection is deception. Deception is what Mike Pompeo, the former head of the CIA, told you from his own mouth that he had been doing as the head of the CIA. We lied and we lied and we lied, he said. Any fool who sits down with any emissary of the United States of America now and expects that they are not being deceived, not being lied to, is, well, frankly, an idiot. And that goes for the Russian government in Ukraine. It definitely goes for the Chinese government over any bilateral conflicts between the USA and China. It went for the Iranians, and it goes...
Misdirection is my burlesque name. Is a lovely response. A lovely response.
For the Palestinians in Gaza, too. They are one. As Trump told you...
Also, like, this hasn't... The bombing of Iran hasn't changed that fact, though, George. Like, it's... underlined it, it's highlighted it, but the fact that I think every person who ever, or every country that ever goes into a negotiation with the United States knows they're being played. I think the worst recent example was the man I mentioned a little bit earlier in passing, Volodymyr Zelensky, right? Has literally played the absolutely perfect, like, NATO client, basically. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like, he's just a stooge, because like he's trying to protect his own country. He's trying to protect himself and his country from foreign hostile invasion. So he's perfectly righteous to do it, and this is the only like card he had to play, basically. But having been the perfect NATO client and done exactly what NATO wanted him to do, which was to weaken Russia, Trump turns around and fucking shafts him and goes, no, we want all your fucking minerals as well, cunt. You can't win. You can't win. The only winning is in not playing. As opposed to a friendly invasion. Yeah, a nice little, like, I suppose a friendly invasion is just a vacation. it's just going on holiday, you know.
Rather eloquently, when he thanked Netanyahu before thanking the American service personnel involved in last night's operation as a...
Well, yeah, because Netanyahu matters to Trump. The US service personnel fucking don't. He's only happy they returned so that he wouldn't look bad on him if they had died. But that's it.
Happens. He thanked Netanyahu. He described them as a team like has never been seen before. He said, with his typical hyperbole, everything's lovelier, biglier, and ever more beautiful, according to Donald Trump. But he was not lying when he said that he and Netanyahu were a team. And this leads me to a point that I have to make, though there are many who disagree with me. The truth is that Israel and America are one. They are one country. The truth was given to you by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. when he described Israel in his presidential run as being an aircraft carrier for the United States in the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
that is much. Precisely why.
Pretty much, yep. That's exactly what it is.
Israel was founded, virtue of the Balfour Declaration in 1917.
Okay, this is where you again, I told you you'd say mental shit. I don't think you can say it was founded for that reason. Because for a start off, America didn't even really support Israel in its earlier years. It didn't actually start giving it significant amounts of money until the 1960s. Like, you make it into an almost JQ thing here now or something, like, or a kind of reverse JQ or something. I don't know. Like, there are many reasons why Israel was founded, including a long-running campaign of Zionist campaigning and so on and so forth, significant amounts of immigration into the Levant by European Jewish people, largely. And then, of course, the actual fundamental reason is that the terrorists of things like the Quds Gang murdering British service personnel, bombing the King David Hotel, things like that, made it so that it was not really worth the British still being there. So they went, okay, over to you then. Have at it, Israelites. And they did.
Which one of Balfour's cabinet described as being a loyal little British Ulster in the heart of the Arab world. It's no longer a British Ulster, but it is definitely an American one. Its purpose there is to be an aircraft carrier. Its purpose there is to sow division in the East and to help state capture the politics of Western countries. But they are not separate things. They are not separate entities. And the tail doesn't wag the dog. This simple matter of canine biology is beyond a lot of people. I've spent the day arguing about it on Twitter. Tails can't wag.
I've spent the day arguing about it on Twitter. Wow, Alexei 255, you are surpassing yourself with ridiculously niche reference points. Hello John Got a New Motor by Alexei Sale. Presumably just because of the Trilby, right? Fucking hell. That is one hell of a reference point, thank you.
Wag dogs. Dogs wag tails. The truth is that the Israelis are a very useful aircraft carrier indeed, well worth the 3 to 5 billion a year in ordinary years that the American taxpayer spends on them. I don't know the cost of a fleet of aircraft carriers, but it would be much, much more than they ordinarily give Israel.
You met Alexei Sale today? Really? Presumably like a protest, I imagine, right? You weren't like around at his fucking house or something. Presumably, I don't know. You could have been.
And sure, they've given a whole ton of money, more than normal years over the last 20 months, almost 21 months. But that was for America's purposes, not for Israel's. I had people arguing to me today that the Mossad infiltrated the Pentagon in 2002. Others argued that the Israelis infiltrated the entire system of United States government in 2002. But that presupposes that the Pentagon was the Salvation Army before 2002. It presupposes that the CIA and the Mossad are two separate, different things. It presupposes...
Okay, he is sort of JQing now. Like saying there is an overwhelming Zionist political influence in the United States. There is a lobbying and a financial, shithousery campaign going on, is one thing. Saying that they're the same thing, you are just doing JQ. You're just doing JQ, mate. It's just anti-Semitism, I do. See, this is the problem I have, right? I obviously don't think being anti-Zionist is anti-Semitic, inherently. You can and should do anti-Zionism in a way that isn't anti-Semitic. George Galloway, unfortunately, doesn't, though. He just does... He always, steps over the mark into it being anti-Semitism. Yeah. What is JQ? JQ refers to the phrase, the Jewish question, which is sort of a code way of Nazis saying the Jews run everything. Basically. It's how Nazis basically hide, or not even hide, it's just a shorthand way of saying 'twas the Jews what done it, basically. And he's sort of very much doing that, unfortunately.
That the United States empire prior to 2002 was any force for good or liberty in the world. I've got a queue of names I can give you. 80 countries long, 80 countries long that the United States has invaded since the end of World War II.
I don't think you can say I'm uncritically watching George Galloway. I just accused him of doing Nazi shit.
Invaded or subverted by way of proxy armies, or assisted in the terrorist overthrow, mass murder, assassination, and other means to alter the course of the trajectory of those countries struggling to be free. So Israel can't be blamed for those, you see. It's not Israel that overthrew President Salvador Allende in Chile in 1973. It's not Israel that murdered millions of people in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't Israel.
No, but ironically, it was a Zionist in Henry Kissinger who did do those things.
That launched the Korean War. The United States has been a malignant empire since the end of the Second World War. And I could go back. There are only actually 6 years, in the hundreds of years since the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, that America has not been involved in a foreign war. Just 6 years. And prior to the Declaration of Independence, they were shackling millions of slaves to the plough in their plantations.
You're starting to sound decidedly woke now, George. Come on.
Black slaves, African slaves, and prior to that, and alongside that, they were murdering and dispossessing scores of millions of indigenous Americans. None of that is the fault of the Jews. You see, this is the problem with the false dichotomy that Israel has captured the United States and forced its leaders to do their bidding. You go looking for Jews. It presupposes that if there was no Israel, America would be behaving like a charitable St. Francis of Assisi. They would not. They were not. They will never be. America behaves like it is because it is a dominant empire. All dominant empires, including the British, the Roman, the...
Excuse me, how dare you? The British Empire was faultless. I will have you know. We were just a little small bean doing some international trade. That's all. Mutually beneficial capitalist enterprise. How dare you?
Greek, all dominant empires behave in that way. And they accrue to themselves indispensable parts of other people's territory that they use as mercenaries. And that's what Netanyahu is. He's the American state's mercenary. And he has led to a situation where the unsafest place to be a Jew in the world is Israel. No one's going to argue that point, are they? The unsafest time since the Holocaust to be a Jew is now, as a result of Netanyahu's false claim to be acting on the behalf of the Jewish people. Now
That's certainly an issue with this, certainly, yeah. George Galloway now supports Scottish independence, okay. He'd previously opposed it, last time I knew. So this is Workers' Party GB, the weird socialism/transphobia collective that he's running candidates in the general election for. We support the right of the Scots to self-determination. 11 years after they last did so, we believe the time for another referendum is close. Given the collapsing authority of the British state, the pitiful Prime Minister Starmer, the moral decline of British society, the result cannot easily be predicted. Britain has become a cesspit. I would argue it's sort of always been that, but, you know. Cool.
Turn to last night's events. According to Channel 13 on Israeli television, the Iranian nuclear program cannot be destroyed by bombs. The IAEA, though they were...
I'm absolutely certain it can't be destroyed by bombs. Like, America... Look, really, the problem that America has, or had, I suppose, the kind of the community, the intelligence community people, with the Iraq War, was that it was so needless and so disastrous that the old readiness to put boots on the ground that the American people once had, which survived even Vietnam, bizarrely. Even Vietnam didn't end that that kind of impulse within the American people to be led by the nose into ground invasions. Even Afghanistan didn't do it. It was Iraq. No, Kev did not get a trim. Kev got a man bun. Fuck yes, bitches. I've just tied it up because it was getting in my fucking face. And this is just for the stream, really. I'm not like... I don't walk around like this. Anyway, by the way. Yeah, so Iraq has now meant that America is fucking scared. Is now really scared to do any kind of ground invasion. In a way that it knows with Iran it would have to do. You're not going to be able to bomb a country that is essentially a combination of mountain range and desert and hope to like beat it. It's not going to work that way. This is a modern nation. It's got loads of nuclear centrifuges and shit. If it wanted to enrich uranium, it probably just fucking could, actually. It might take a little while, but how the fuck would you know, you pricks? Like... But America's terrified, because they know it would be an absolute fucking bloodbath. It would make Iraq look like... invading Greenland, indeed. So yeah, they've got no fucking chance. And of course, the second they do anything even remotely like that, the oil would stop flowing through the Straits of Hormuz, the natural gas would stop, and Americans would be paying 10 times the amount for gas, and there'd be a fucking revolt. Even though they'd still probably be fucking paying less than your average European does. Because apparently in America, basically I think they force the petrol stations to have to pay you to take their fucking gasoline off them. That's how cheap it is. And if it's a cent higher than that, they'll vote for fascism because eggs or something. Anyway, if you wanted to help me afford the astronomical energy prices that are about to hit the world in just a second, you can do so in the form of bits and subs and memberships and super chats. The ones that don't get noise alerted I'll read out because, you know, fuck it, why not? Also, you say George Galloway is a homophobe, right? You say, dear chatter, that George Galloway is a homophobe, and yet I have evidence to the contrary. Okay? I have firm evidence to the contrary.
I have been in a gay bar with the village people throbbing out YMCA within earshot of Lenin's tomb. I have been in...
Queer icon. Throbbing! Fucking hell.
Were very quick off the mark. Maybe they had people there. Declared that there was no trace of nuclear material, emissions, or radiation in the air at the site of last night's bombing. That either means there was no radioactive material there in the first place, or it means it's still extant under the ground and not damaged by the American bombing.
Is he a bigamist? I didn't know that. I mean,
I don't want to do this anymore.
I sort of don't care about him being a bigamy. Look, bigamy doesn't strike me as that much of a big deal. Unless you're literally doing it in like a straightforward, like, oh, I've got two families and they don't know about each other type way, right? If it's just like you're separated from one person, you don't officially get divorced, and then you marry another person, like that's bigamy, yeah, but it's not. Like, do I care? Thank you, Tess, who says, get yourself a barrel of crude, Kev. I will, and I will bathe in it, because that's just how I fucking roll. I'm mental, and I act exactly as I fucking want to. And nothing's going to stop me. Not even throbbing.
What does all that mean? It means that this war will shortly be revealed for what it
I do, it's against the law. Well, I mean, that's fine. If you have a genuinely held conviction that the law is always right, fine, go for it. I don't care, really. I think you're wrong, but I don't really care. Laws are created by partisan individuals for their own reasons in many cases. Many of them are outdated or poorly written. Just because something is against the law doesn't mean it's actually bad. I bring you back, dear viewer, to the fact that the group Palestine Action are about to be made into a terrorist organisation by the British government. Now, when that does take place, I will have to say that I in no way support Palestine Action, but that has not happened yet. And so I will say, fuck yeah, awesome, good stuff. Because it's still legal to do that now. Like, yeah. Now, yes, George Galloway is a very shitty person. Yes. I just think his bigamy isn't necessarily the biggest problem with him. It's probably like it's not the bigamy, it's the bigotry. Fuck yes. Oh, clip it, ship it, bip it, right? I've just come up with an absolute fucking banger. Let's go.
in fact it is. It will be revealed as a regime change war. Nuclear was never the issue. Iran signed a nuclear deal with Obama, and it was working perfectly well, according to the IAEA. Iran did not breach one jot or tittle of the commitments that it made.
Jot or titter? God, you're a weird man. You're a very, very strange person. Fucking hell. Are we getting Man Bun Kev soon? You've got Man Bun Kev. What are you talking about? Boom. It's happened.
In the nuclear deal with the JCPOA. It was Trump that ripped up the nuclear deal. It was Trump that walked away from the negotiating table. It was Trump's ally, mercenary, Israel.
Yeah, I thought he was done with the Arabs as well, but apparently George Galloway's back on the Arab train. Yeah.
Which started murdering Iranian nuclear scientists and their families. And at every turn, Iran increased, by way of punishment, the percentage of fissile material that it was enriching. Now, who can blame them? I blame them for not making a nuclear bomb.
Well, Iranians aren't Arabs for the most part, to be fair, Moranaka. They are largely Persian, which is a different group. There are Arabs in Iran. I think it's like 4%, 5% of the population. But they're largely not Arab. But he's like sort of back on the Arab train with like... So I think he was always with the Palestinians, for instance, you know. He does indeed miss Saddam's indefatigability.
I exhorted them over and over again to make a nuclear bomb whilst they could. I said to them that nobody will ever attack Pyongyang.
Hang on a minute. Due to woke, we have to say Arab train instead of Orient Express. Honestly. Oh, that's so good. So good. Oh. Thank you, 8DX, man. That's fucking beautiful. Someone give that man a hand job. Fucking Orient Express.
But they will attack you precisely because you don't have nuclear weapons.
Sorry.
If the nuclear material has not been destroyed, they'll have to attack again, won't they? Or what was the $315 million that was expended last night spent for? What has all this been about if it does not destroy the nuclear material? Of course, what Israeli Channel 13 means is that the only way that you can destroy Iran's nuclear industry is by person, boots on the ground. And that is only possible if you have regime change.
Yeah, basically, that is sort of what Zionists are pushing for. Yeah. 100%. But the thing is, George, it's very easy in the abstract to say you should do this or you should do that. If you try and build a nuclear bomb and you don't get one and they find out first, you're fucked. Because Israel will definitely nuke you to stop you getting a bomb if you're brown and near them. Just saying. What I said, read the geology, is relevant. Did you say something about geology? Did I miss a geology bit? The geology around Natanz is primarily dense volcanic and igneous rock, solid lava flows and plutonic intrusions, which sounds like a fucking sexy thing, but it probably isn't, which are extremely tough and offer far greater resistance to penetration, gigaday, than standard concrete or soil. While there are some softer, tough and they're patchy and unpredictable, making it difficult for bunker busters to exploit weaknesses. Faults and fractures might present weak spots, but tunnels are likely engineered to avoid those. Unless they're oiled like a baby otter, very much so. Hello there, Carl. Thank you, Carl Brown, for gifting a sub to winners and losers. Which, I mean, again, it's random, but that's awesome. Everyone go and follow Winners and Losers, who is the channel that does the TYT is a bunch of union busting bastards thing. So go and check them out. And thank you also for gifting a sub to Andrew. Much love. Honestly, I'm feeling the love tonight. This is the most love I've felt whilst sober in a long time. Maybe it's the impending destruction of all existence on Earth in a nuclear holocaust that's just making me feel, it's got me in the feels. Yeah.
Even appointed the new head of state, that fella in Los Angeles who's never been in Iran since he was a child. He's the new head of state. And just to throw some sand in the face, there's going to be a
pocket sand. Oh, he just went full Dale Gribble. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Briefcase. What the hell are you doing? Give it. Pocket sand.
Never go full Dale Gribble. Never.
A Sunni Muslim prime minister. They've got the terrorist group, MK. They've got the Rent-a-Mob Kurdish factions ready to...
Rent-a-Mob Kurdish factions? You mean the people who have fought more for fucking socialism, practically speaking, than you ever have in your entire life? You absolute fucking minge face. Shut the fuck up. Like, it's so weird to me that, like, he does this thing where he sort of lionizes certain Arab factions and then, like, hates every other brown person from that region. Or every other person from that region. Basically, if you're Arab and you kind of agree with him, if you're like a Ba'athist or something like that, then you're cool. But everyone else he's just going to be really racist about. Yeah. Do you remember when he was going on about, oh, there are Chinese Muslims that are coming over, and they're not like the Arabs because they eat rice for breakfast? And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What? He's a twat. He's a twat, you know? a very weird and specific kind of racist. Like, he can't even just do normal racism. He has to do a very specific niche, like, bespoke racism, all to himself. Amazing. Thank you, Leckers, for popping by. Enjoy your sleep. Much love to you.
To march on Tehran, but they cannot muster the 1 million strong army that they would require to occupy a country as vast as Iran and destroy a regime with millions, tens of millions of supporters. I get Western liberals on my case saying that people hate the Iranian regime and are only too ready to rise up against it.
They are quite unpopular. Whether they're ready to rise up against it is, I mean, almost neither here nor there, because part of the problem with bombing a civilian population is you can't really defeat a population that way. Whenever we've seen civilian populations bombed, it has a resolve factor to it, right? The kind of, I mean, dare I say, it's much overused as a phrase, but the blitz spirit type thing, right? Whereby a population rallies around its leadership, around its country, around a certain kind of patriotism, and seeks to essentially say fuck you to the people doing the bombardment. It's a matter of resistance. It's not giving in. And that's the way it goes every time this happens, pretty much. You can't just bomb a civilian population into compliance or defeat. You either have to have a negotiated settlement, or you have to have a complete boots on the ground takeover. I suspect it'll be the former, but I fear it may at least be attempted to be the latter.
I wonder if they've ever met an Iranian. I don't mean an Iranian in exile in the West. I don't even mean an Iranian who speaks English and happens to be hanging around a hotel lobby to speak to the journos in the fancy hotels in downtown Tehran. I'm talking about the real Iran, where the real Iranians live. The rural Iran, the religious Iran, the patriotic Iran, who will never agree to allow a 1 million strong army, even if one could be conjured up. And from where could it be conjured up? You think the American people are going to allow...
China, ironically, would be like probably one of the few countries who could. By the way, I'm not suggesting China's going to invade Iran.
Allow Vietnam levels of conscription to go and occupy Iran and welcome the coffins coming back to Arlington day after day? You think the British people are going to do so? The French? Nobody is going to do so. So all they can do is whistle. And that's where I turn to.
Yeah, maybe India, I guess. Yeah.
And I hope that they hear me. Don't do anything stupid now. Don't go attacking American bases, which are empty in any case.
They didn't really listen to you, George. I don't think they heard you.
Don't go killing Americans. That's what they want you to do. Concentrate on what you're doing now. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Enrich your uranium, weaponize it with assistance from friendly countries, so that as an ultimate defense, you have a viable and deliverable nuclear weapon. And concentrate on what...
Do the thing that they're accusing you of doing. That's a flawless piece of logic, George. Now, again, I have pointed out that those countries with nuclear weapons are safer. because no one attacks the nuclear power that can fight back. Look at how Israel is having to deal with its cities being bombarded by a country that doesn't have nuclear weapons. If it did have nuclear weapons, they wouldn't be firing on it at all. But that doesn't mean you necessarily have to encourage countries to do nuclear proliferation. Like, it sounds good in a kind of chest beating, like, we're gonna take on the West, we're gonna fight, we're gonna do, you know, it's that thing of like, we're gonna be completely safe if we build this nuclear bomb. But if you start actually building the nuclear bomb, I think a lot of people in the West would be like, okay, maybe we do need to take over Iran because this is fucking mental. Like, the very thing, the very excuse that Israel and America are now using to attack Iran, you are suggesting they should actually just do that and give them the legitimate reason to then attack Iran. Yeah, turn the excuse that no one really believes into a legitimate, like, claim is your actual piece of advice for the government of Iran. You are not actually their friend, are you, George? Or are you mental enough to think that you are? I don't know.
What you're doing now so dazzlingly effectively, which is reducing the genocidal regime of Israel, of Netanyahu. Reduce it to a palsy. Stop their killing of the Palestinian people in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Jerusalem. Stop their killing of the people in South Lebanon. Stop their killing of the people in Syria. An ISIS terrorist backed by Israel just went into a church in Syria, in Damascus, and massacred 10 people, maimed dozens of people, destroyed the altar and the church. A suicide bomber from ISIS in Damascus. Mar Elias Church is the name. I've been in it. They're murdering people throughout the region. Concentrate on reducing them. Trump will find it more difficult then to get involved further, deeper into this maw, into what is potentially, of course, World War III. Spend the next weeks, months reinforcing, not just the concrete, but reinforcing your alliances. I was astounded when I heard from President Putin in St. Petersburg that Russia offered air defenses to Iran and Iran tied them down, turned them down, didn't want them. How foolish that decision now looks. And the reason, presumably, from the reformist president, presumably, was that they did not want to be seen to be putting all their eggs in the Russian basket. Because that...
Whereas you, Putin's little fucking lapdog bitch, are like, no, you should. You should put all your eggs in Russia's basket. You know, that very successful basket, which has successfully defeated Ukraine in 3 days, 3 years ago. Except it hasn't, and it's still fucked right now. George, I don't know if you've noticed, mate, but Russia can't defend their own skies. Russia can't defend their own internal infrastructure from, like, some pretty, like, basic bitch drone attack from Ukraine. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what they'd have really done up against the fucking B-2 bomber.
That is a stiff dick of poop.
They can't defend against anything. Like, like they probably turned it down just because they didn't want to look that desperate. Look, if you're taking air defences from Russia, you are like, that's last gasp stuff, man. Oof. Oof. Thank you, Lord Freetus, for gifting a sub to George_Galloway. That is, don't tell me that's actually him. No, it isn't. Okay, cool. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered either way. Fuck it. You can give a sub to whoever you fucking like. I had Bernie Sanders following me for fucking months. It was really weird. I could say that Bernie Sanders subscribes to me on Twitch, and that was kind of cool actually. That was nice. Anyway, what's on Al Jazeera right now? Trump has announced a ceasefire in what? What has Trump announced a ceasefire of? Trump says Israel and Iran have agreed to a complete and total ceasefire. Okay.
Strike. And the Iranians did the safe thing. They just retaliated with the minimum force, with minimum damage, and of course no American loss of life. So that part has de-escalated. But the part that has not de-escalated is, of course, the Israel-Iran part. And I'm a little bit skeptical because I don't really know whether Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to respond exactly to what President Trump is suggesting. But if President Trump has organized this behind the scenes, then bravo.
Bravo, you say. What do you think some of the pitfalls might be? And of course, it's worth reminding our viewers that we are yet to get any comment from Israel and Iran.
I was about to say, so Trump's exact comment is, it has been fully agreed by Iran and Israel that there will be a ceasefire. Not that there is a ceasefire, not that an agreement has been signed, that there will be a ceasefire.
So Israel achieved their objective. The second objective, though, that has also been stated by Netanyahu is that there's some regime change they would like. Now, we all want regime change in Iran. It's a theocracy that's basically opposed by half their population. It's very unpopular. Most Iran experts say about 20% of the Iranians support this current government. But the reality is that you can't force regime change from the outside using weapons. So Israel would need to
Why are you even listening to this bitch? She works for the fucking McCain Institute. You know John McCain, the guy who's dead? Can we get some lols in chat and some 707s? Piece of fucking trash. Who literally sang bomb, 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 bomb Iran. Why are we listening to this fucking garbage bag? Fuck her.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Victory is ours.
Unbelievable. Hello, Khan Bouncers. Is that a reference to the former Indian pace bowler Zaheer Khan and his use of the short ball? I don't know, but I appreciate you nonetheless.
were able to actually get the program up and going. Now, their programs were not as far along as the Iranian one, but nevertheless, it goes to show you that it is difficult, and oftentimes it's worth stalling because maybe a regime change is brought about by other means, by the people inside the country.
And just briefly, if I may, Evelyn, we've only got about a minute or so, but of course, one of the focuses at NATO will be trying to end another war, and that, of course, is the war in Ukraine.
Yes, and unfortunately, the prospects for that don't look very good right now because, honestly...
Oh, that's crazy, because Trump said he would have it done in the first day. He could just sort it out in one day because he's so fucking special. Awesome. What the Trump posted, "Congratulations, world, it's time for peace." Okay, you know what? I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. This is a real thing. Okay? I'm going to say this now. Putting this out there now. Call me a soothsayer if you wish. I think this is bullshit. I think this is a prelude to something else. Okay? Now, what that thing is, I don't know, because Trump is a fucking lunatic. Trump is a fucking crazy cunt who probably doesn't even quite know himself what's going to happen. Mainly because he's not totally in charge, both of his own faculties and of the American government. This seems like some sort of forestalling shit. I think there's going to be more bombing. I don't think this will actually lead to any kind of fucking truce. At least in part because Benjamin Netanyahu definitely doesn't want there to be a truce. Benjamin Netanyahu has never not wanted something more than he not wants truce or ceasefire right now. So I'm not having this. This Trump doing the all caps congratulations world time for peace bollocks. Utter bollocks. I will stake my fucking reputation upon it that he's talking shit.
President writes Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. He says during each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful. On the assumption that everything works as it should, the president continues, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war.
He's already trying to name it. He's already trying to name it, man. Okay, also, yeah, why does Israel get an extra 6 hours to do bombing? That seems very strange. And secondly, oh shit, what was the other point I wanted to make? Oh, fuck, it's gone.
Let's start with you, Firas, since you're sitting beside me. Firas, this has just come in, and I know you're just digesting it.
Yeah,
we haven't yet
like, he was literally saying, congratulations to Iran, the same day they bombed a fucking US base. Look, he's a lunatic, the guy. He really is.
For him to take the victory lap, but also to dub it the 12-day war, very much wanting to put the Trump stamp on it. It's not surprising in the sense that we've known now for quite some time that the channels of communication, despite the war between the Trump administration and Iran, remained open, whether directly or through European intermediaries, through Arab intermediaries. Even the Iranian response to the American strike appeared very choreographed. President here thanking Iran for letting him know ahead of time that the strike was coming to take the precautionary measures that were required. So clearly here diplomacy is starting to move again. Looking forward, I think the Iranian foreign minister was in Moscow in the past 24 hours. Russia has an important role to play as a guarantor. Despite the fact that Iran and the Trump administration are talking, there is a severe deficit of trust. So I think the Russians have a role to play, the Chinese have a role to play, so do the Gulf Arabs. But this is obviously great news for the Trump administration, a victory lap, great news for the region.
Why are you taking it as read that any of this is true? This is really... Okay, I mean, we'll see. Also, it says there's a truce or a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, but not between the United States and Iran.
Works. So
now this interview is live.
Column, but I
we are literally watching the BBC News 24 channel live.
With a heavy dose of salt, if you will, because there is now the hard work that begins. What about what is left of Iran's nuclear program? All the nuclear that is potentially weapons grade that they have, that the U.S. is not sure exactly where it is. Will Iran allow inspectors in? Will they allow no notice inspections?
Oi, oi, Joe. Welcome to the Kevolution, mate.
They haven't really ever done that before to the satisfaction of the international community. So we'll have to see how far Iran now is willing to go in declaring their nuclear program. I think that's
I guarantee, regardless of what does happen because of this announcement, I guarantee that, because, you know, after an administration's been in, it had its time, and like news comes out afterwards about like the interpersonal dialogue and why these things happened and who said what to who and why decisions were made. All of the kind of the play-by-play gets kind of revealed after the fact. Not always as conclusively as like the fucking Nixon tapes, because whatever, but it gets revealed. I guarantee that Trump shat himself because of the potential for high gas prices in America. I fucking guarantee that's what motivated his wish now to see an end to this. 100%. I think he was probably briefed that the Straits of Hormuz were about to close or some shit, and he went like, okay, let's do something. Even if it is, like I say, I think it's still a forestalling tactic, but whatever.
Still use those stockpiles to enrich further, to get to weapons grade. and build a bomb. However, that requires time because their centrifuges, their installations have been set back significantly. These are difficult issues. They will be dealt with in the days and weeks ahead. There's a role to play here for international...
Okay, the Straits of Hormuz. They're a significant bottleneck in world energy, right? So, in terms of tankers and pipelines that take, energy around the world, fuel around the world, I think I'm right in saying something ridiculous like 40% of the world's oil and natural gas goes through the Straits of Hormuz, because you've got to think about the geography here, right? The three of the major world oil producing nations of Iran, Saudi Arabia and Iraq get 30%, sorry, get a lot of their oil transported via tanker out of the Persian Gulf. And the only way you get out of the Persian Gulf is going around there's a little notch where the sticky outy bit south of Saudi Arabia, which is the Straits of Hormuz, the little bit between that and Iran, which Iran can control because it's like territory it has, it's well defended, it's very easily defended. And so, yeah, it could shut down massive amounts of the world's energy supply in a heartbeat. And whilst there are things you can try and do, to try and sort of ease along that process, you're not going to get tanker drivers to go through it whilst missiles are being flown around the place. Tanker drivers, you've got 100 gazillion fucking gallons of oil or natural gas, liquid natural gas. You're not going to sail that fucking ship if there are potential for fucking strike. So it shuts down in virtually a heartbeat. Which is why fucking Rubio was desperately asking China for help in keeping the Straits of Hormuz open. Because that's America's greatest fear. Because the price of gasoline will go through the roof, and the price of eggs. Oh no, the price of eggs. Because everything runs on energy, right? So if your gas prices go up, your fucking egg prices go up, everything goes up. So yeah. It gets shut down, the world economy gets fucking shut down, basically. Or not shut down, but like massively hurt.
Airspace in this war. Presumably, all Israeli forces are going to withdraw, and that will reduce somewhat their ability in real time to see what Iran is up to with its forces. There's still reconnaissance, there's still satellites, all of that, signals intelligence, but
yeah, and the companies won't allow them to sail either.
The battlefield on the ground as we see all of it unfold. I think these are going to be some of the key details to watch, along with, of course, where is all that nuclear fuel?
Think of the damage it was done to the world economy by a few Houthis firing rockets at ships or taking the occasional tanker over, or Ethiopian pirates buzzing fucking ships trying to get into the Red Sea. Think of the damage that did, and then say to yourself, a country of 90 million people with a pretty advanced military capability, reasonably long-range missiles, certainly long enough that they can fucking bomb anything in the region. Imagine what that would do with 30% of the oil being shut down. Like, it would be fucking catastrophic for the world economy. Oh, we're back to this bitch. No, fuck off. I'll go to fucking Sky News or some shit. Fuck George Galloway's a cunt. Sky News. Is there a Sky News Live UK? There we go.
And Israel and what might happen. Domestic story, page 4 of the Times. This is about parents whose lives were torn apart by NHS blunders. And this comes as Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, is promising.
The fuck, CNN live? Why doesn't it just come up as live, for fuck's sake, man? Okay, look, I'm just saying, this does not look very ceasefire-y. Yeah, that doesn't seem very ceasefire-y. It's very fiery. It's not very ceasefire-y. Al Jazeera Live, I guess.
To give our viewers also the point of view from Israel, but our correspondent who's in Amman, Jordan, reporting on that, just had to step away from the camera for a quick moment because she heard an air siren.
Oh God, he misspelled his name. It's not Donald J. Trump, it's Donald J. Trump. We heard this. Crazy.
Cisco today, Stephen, thank you. So you are looking at this along with us. The last 20, 30 minutes, we're still trying to digest this.
Hang on, who suggests... Have you got a link for that? CNN saying no ceasefire agreed according to Iran. What's this? Google Maps. What is that a map of? What are you showing me? Oh, the Straits of Hormuz. Okay, yeah. So, if we zoom out, right? Just to give you the geographic context, so you've got Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia and Iran, right? And all of the oil and natural gas has to go from ports here in the Persian Gulf through this little narrow bit here. Oop, hang on, fuck off, get out of the way. Through this little narrow bit. Very narrow indeed. And much like the Battle of Thermopylae. If you narrow the field of battle, even a small defensive unit can completely shut things down, even for a much larger military unit. Or series of units, a much larger army. And that's essentially what this does. It levels the playing field. Because it doesn't matter how many bombs you've got, how big your army is. If all Iran has to do is shut down this little fucking piss stretch of water, it can fuck you up. Big time.
It's important to point out, this all started on the premise, at least that's what Israel was saying publicly, that they wanted to roll back Iran's nuclear program.
All the Battle of Stirling Bridge,
when he attacked, said the same thing. But we don't actually have a good assessment right now of where Iran's nuclear program stands, right?
No, again, there's been a lot of physical damage, but some of the material could have been smuggled to a more secure location.
I'm sure it will have been.
There are plenty of other scientists. I mean, they could easily rebuild. I mean, this certainly set back their program, but not in a way that that couldn't be rebuilt, especially if Iran decided to put a lot more energy and urgency into it than they have up until now. But of course, if it was really about their nuclear program, the United States would not have destroyed the Iran nuclear agreement in 2015. Israel wouldn't have supported the end of the agreement, because that was the one guarantee that Iran would not be able to build a nuclear bomb. So I've been skeptical from the very beginning that this was actually the reasons for the war by Israel and the United States against Iran. I think it's more about hegemony and punishing them simply for challenging the predominant role of the U.S. and Israel in the region.
Stephen, stand by, please. I want to go to our correspondent in Amman, Jordan, because as you know, we're looking at at the moment, any movement, any development across the region. Hamda Salhout, you're in Amman, Jordan. We wanted to come to you a moment ago, and I understand that you heard the sirens, you had to get out of the way. We appreciate that that's necessary for your safety and that of your team, and I understand you heard explosions.
That's right. There were sirens that sounded in the Jordanian capital, Amman, which is not anything that is...
Okay. Iran has not received any ceasefire proposal, senior official says. Iran has not received any ceasefire proposal and sees no reason for one, a senior Iranian official told CNN. The official said Iran would continue to fight until it achieves its goal, views the remarks from Israel and the US as a deception intended to justify attack on Iran's interests. At this very moment, the enemy is committing aggression against Iran, and Iran is on the verge of intensifying its retaliatory strikes, with no ear to listen to the lies of its enemies, the official said. I mean, like, we'll wait and see. Obviously, we don't know. It's a very fast developing story, but I would think that much in the same way that Trump did this with Israel earlier in the Gaza conflict, he'll just say, oh, there's a ceasefire, and then tell the two parties involved, oh yeah, you need to do a ceasefire now. What? Like, he's a fucking mad bastard, man.
From the Israelis. Now,
yeah, they have to be in Jordan because Israel won't allow Al Jazeera into the country because, you know, they're a democracy. They're the only democracy in the Middle East that picks and chooses which organisations can exist. You know, like normal countries.
But there was still no indication that that was the case. The Israeli Prime Minister this evening, speaking to Israel's right-wing Channel 14, noted that Israel is closer to achieving its goals.
Are all Israel's channels just called Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 3, Channel 4? Like, because there's Channel 13 and Channel 14. So they just called that. They don't have names or anything. They're just numbered. Like French universities and stuff.
Right. So, Hamda, you're touching on something I wanted to ask you. We're not going to chase an Israeli official response right now. I mean, if it does
heaven
come out
forbid.
in the middle of the night, you'll be the first to see it and the first to tell us. But for the moment, it doesn't exist. I do note that all the Israeli press right now, that's their headline, that Trump announces the ceasefire. If it does come out that Israel has indeed to a ceasefire, based on what Israel said its war aims were in Iran, could they come out and claim that they have accomplished their military
Well, no, story
aims?
girl. We've got ITV. That's not Channel 3, is it? Also, once you get past Channel 5, they're all called like it goes back to being BBC 3, which is Channel 6, which doesn't make any sense. And then they've got like UK TV Gold and stuff. Like, it's, you know, they do have names.
The had been saying that the coming days for Iran are going to be incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. But those who are also speaking anonymously say that while Israel is trying to wrap things up by the end of the week, while the United States president was pushing them toward that direction, the Israelis say that even if this war stops, if they feel the Iranians are rearming in any way, if they are reestablishing their nuclear program, rebuilding those facilities that the United States claims are destroyed, they reserve the right to attack. It's the same policy we've seen from the Israelis carrying out in Lebanon, even though there was...
Yeah, they get to just be belligerent cunts because no one's going to hold them to account. Yeah, we know.
Parties, so there are a lot of moving parts here, and what's going on is surely unprecedented. But the U.S. president says that he's the one who brokered this deal. He's the one who spoke to both parties, who was able to get them both to agree to the terms that were outlined in his post.
Again, explosions heard in Tehran 4 minutes ago. Fucking hell. A big blast has been heard in Tehran by CNN's team on the ground. Iran has received has not received any ceasefire proposal. Israeli military issues new evacuation warning for Tehran. Yeah, this is bollocks. There's no fucking ceasefire here. I'm just going to put this out there now. Okay? If I'm wrong, if I end up being wrong, I end up being wrong. There is no ceasefire happening here. There's no ceasefire. This is bullshit. This is complete fabrication. I'm just calling it right now. Based on everything I know about Donald Trump, based on everything I know about Benjamin Netanyahu, based on everything that the military-industrial complex wants out of this conflict, this is fucking bollocks. This is bullshit. Again, I will stake my reputation on this. Such that I have a reputation, I guess, whatever. This isn't a ceasefire. He just wants to put that out there so that his idiot MAGA people will shut up. So that maybe the markets won't freak the fuck out first thing in the morning. So that maybe the price of oil doesn't shoot through the fucking roof first thing tomorrow. Or indeed overnight trading and all of that. This is horseshit. Complete and utter horseshit. Also, hang on, it says the ceasefire and upon the 12th hour. Firstly, why is this written like it's some ancient scripture shit? On the 12th hour? Give a time. Say at like midday or at 2 in the afternoon or something, whatever. And upon the 24th hour, an official says the end of the 12-day war. So is that tomorrow? Because he hasn't given a date there. So the lack of any specificity also leads me to think this is nonsense. I don't believe this for a fucking second. This is also he can take a fake victory lap. This is also... Because again, in the era of fake news, why not push the envelope, right? Sorry, not fake news. In the era of alternative facts, in a post-truth world, why not push the envelope? We know he can get away with, like, bending the truth. We know he can get away with just sort of reinterpreting facts, having alternative facts. What about if you literally just completely ignore reality outright and just be like, no, there's a ceasefire. Yeah, fuck it. Just make it up. All of the media, we're literally seeing right now, all of the media will uncritically accept this baseless claim because there's no evidence. The Israeli government haven't come out and announced anything. The Iranian government are literally saying the exact opposite and saying we haven't even received a fucking a proposal, let alone agreed to anything. It's only the only word we have about any of this is Donald Trump, a man that we know lies about everything. So just make it up. Just completely invent a ceasefire that neither side has agreed to. Literally, fucking explosions are happening in Tehran now. That's why things happened here. I'm just going to put it out there now. I think this is total fabrication. Complete bullshit. I stand to be corrected. I hope there is a ceasefire, because I don't fucking want war. But nothing about this smells right at all. Nothing about this smells right. This does not pass the sniff test at all. Because all I smell is bullshit right now.
To this, and that they end up actually sticking to what Donald Trump says is their commitment, right? So let's assume we get through the next 24 hours and the ceasefire is respected and we can call this the end of the war. Where does that leave the Middle East?
Well, I think it sends a message, that again, the Israelis, the United States are not committed to international law. They're willing to engage in these unprovoked attacks against a sovereign nation. And even though Iran is obviously not very popular in the Middle East, and there are a lot of countries, virtually all countries at this point, who have serious problems with them.
Like
the very
even
fact that this whole
even Al Jazeera, even fucking Al Jazeera, are uncritically saying no, there is a ceasefire, and yet what evidence do we actually have that there is a ceasefire? Again, neither of the parties that have to agree to a ceasefire have said anything, except Iran, that have said literally the opposite thing. Now again, I don't really trust the Iranian government either. I don't trust any of the governments. They're all fucking wankers. Governments by their very nature are shit. These three in particular, bullshitters, for their own particular religious extremist reasons. It's the three great Abrahamic religions being wankers with one another. It's a fantastic example of humanity at its fucking worst. Anyway, so I don't necessarily trust the Iranian government, but the only actual statement we've had from anyone involved in this is Donald Trump, a man we know lies about everything, literally fucking everything. A man who pled the fifth to what his own name was. When he was being deposed in a lawsuit, it was filmed because it's a deposition, right, in a law case. He was asked, "Are you Donald Trump?" And he pled the fifth. Which, for those who don't know, the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees the citizen the right to not self-incriminate, which means they don't have to answer a question. Right? Perfectly reasonable. We have the right to remain silent here in the UK as well, except in some very specific situations involving really, really draconian and shitty, recently, well, by say recently in the last 20 years, passed anti-terrorism legislation. But other than that, we have the right to remain silent as well. Or the right to say no comment, which may be held against you in court, maybe not, whatever. But, yeah, he pled the fifth to his own name. So, a man that fundamentally dishonest and full of shit is the only person who's made any claim that a ceasefire exists. And not only are the Western press just running with this as if it's a real thing, which we have no evidence for, but even Al Jazeera are like, no, yeah, there's a ceasefire. Let's hope the ceasefire holds. This thing that we've seen no evidence for. It's the geopolitics equivalent of going, well, let's hope those fairies that live at the bottom of my garden start playing a nice song, because I want to listen to some music. So let's hope they play some song. They're probably going to stroke up a band soon, I reckon. Yeah, definitely. Those pixies that live at the bottom of the garden. Yep. Excellent stuff. Unbelievable. Talking of grok, I saw a belter on Twitter the other day. Where is it? Oh, by the way, completely unrelated, but Kemi Badenoch was on a live stream of Policy Exchange UK, and they had 34 people watching. 34 people were watching. Kemi, I don't think you're connecting with the voters, mate. Just saying. Which means I'm more popular than Kemi Badenoch, which is not really a flex, but there you go. Where is the thing? I definitely did retweet it, didn't I? Oh, here we go. So Elon Musk is now annoyed that Grok is woke or something. He says, please reply to this post with divisive facts for Grok training. By this, I mean things that are politically incorrect but are nevertheless factually true. To which Reed, starting somewhere, says, Elon Musk is a pedophile. That is true. He is. Yeah. Cool. Good night, 8DX man. Thanks for stopping by.
good news for him in just the last 2-3 days, a complete turnaround as far as some of the concerns and the headlines. And as far as how this is being received now, just some 50 minutes since this was announced, you know, the U.S. House Speaker saying that Trump deserves all the credit, and the White House now reposting.
See, that's what he wants. That's what he wants. He wants the virtual blowjob is what he wants. He wants Mike Johnson saying, yeah, he's fucking awesome. All the MAGA people can do their thing. And then at the end of it, when it breaks down, they can say, Iran broke the ceasefire. You know, the ceasefire that never existed, that isn't a thing. That's what they'll do. It's the same thing that Israel does with Palestine every time. They come to some sort of... and this has gone on for decades and decades now. They come to a ceasefire agreement. Then Israel consistently breaks it. And then eventually it collapses and they go, see... You can't trust these Palestinian Arabs. You can't, can you? Because they keep breaking the ceasefire, even though Israel never observed it in the first place. It's a pretty tired tactic at this point, but I guarantee you that is what will happen.
That aspect of it, there was a lot of pressure internally to stop this because maybe Israel is hurting. Clearly, the Iranians are hurting enough and want out of this war if they can get out of it under these terms. What did they ultimately do to the Iranian nuclear program? How far did they set it back, and how much
nuclear
does it win? Can Iran reconstitute that program in a shorter period of time, or is it going to take them 10, 15, 20 years, as some Israelis are projecting? I mean, I think that's a crucial part of the equation for Israel, but I agree with a lot of observers and analysts that believe that Israel's intentions were much greater than simply knocking out Iran's nuclear program. It was about, collapsing this regime or regime change in the best case scenario.
And it still is.
Israel is engaged in Gaza. It's engaged in the West Bank. It's engaged in Lebanon. It's engaged in Syria, and it's pursuing,
Wow, that almost seems like they're the belligerent country destabilizing that region, and that they illegally have nuclear weapons.
As Iran and its axis of resistance in the region. So I think it was dead set on changing that equation inside of Iran. It obviously hasn't accomplished that. Will it be satisfied with a serious degradation of Iran's nuclear program? Maybe that's enough.
Nuclear.
Maybe Netanyahu has changed his fortunes within the Israeli political calculus as a result of this, as a result of getting the Americans on board to strike Iran's nuclear facilities.
Nuclear.
Maybe that's enough of a win where all sides feel a sense of accomplishment.
This is Al Jazeera, live from Doha. I'm Mohammed Jamjoom with extended coverage of the latest escalation in the Middle East. In the last hour, President Donald Trump has announced what he says is a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. He's congratulated both countries for agreeing to a complete and total end to hostilities. He says the ceasefire will take effect in stages over 24 hours. Neither Israel nor Iran have confirmed that they've agreed to such a ceasefire. This is what President Trump wrote.
Amazing.
Congratulations, everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. For 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel...
Which it will. He's just posting through it. He's literally just posting through it at this point, isn't he? I didn't think World War III would happen via cope posts, but here we are.
developing is pretty remarkable. You know, in the past couple of days, you've had Donald Trump first suggesting that regime change might be possible in Iran. Now, in this post, he's saying, God bless Iran. All of this happening so quickly. What else have you been hearing?
That's right, and we're getting a little more reporting from the news agency Reuters, which says that Trump and his Vice President J.D. Vance had discussed the ceasefire with the Emir of Qatar shortly after Iran had launched those airstrikes against the U.S. airbase.
But Qatar's not involved in it. What?
They were informing the Qataris that Israel at that point had agreed to the ceasefire and were asking the Qataris for help to then persuade Iran to also agree. Reuters also reporting that Qatar's prime minister was the one that secured Iran's agreement to the U.S. ceasefire proposal in a call with Iran. Those are the latest lines as far as how this ceasefire announced by the U.S. president developed. We also heard more from his vice president speaking on Fox News shortly after Trump announced the ceasefire on social media. J.D. Vance, a vice president, saying that he had seen Trump on the phone at the White House leading up to the moment that he departed.
Oh, he'd been
White
on the
House,
phone. Okay, that's
that
cool.
The two had been working on the terms of this deal, that it had shifted a bit in the last 2 hours, and then giving the U.S. president credit, saying for taking the deal across the finish line, and then saying that this 12-day war, as Trump now wants to coin it, is an important reset moment for the entire region. So again, of course, as we have been cautioning, we're still waiting for confirmation from Iran, from Israel.
Yeah, this
about
doesn't,
the
again, none of this makes sense. None of this makes any sense. That's all I'm saying, okay? I'm still sticking to my conclusion, my initial conclusion, that this is bollocks, but it doesn't make sense what kind of bollocks it is at this point, if that makes sense. Like, it's difficult to parse exactly what the subterfuge is here. Like, what are they getting at? I don't know, and it's confusing, especially at gone midnight, you know.
But as far as you're aware, has any more information emerged from either the State Department or the Pentagon?
You know, that's interesting. It hasn't, and that's completely strange, because
Yeah.
traditionally we would be hearing about these developments from official channels. But Donald Trump has really bucked all tradition, and it is very much his style to be making.
Right, but there does have to be detail released at some point by somebody. Because just saying they're not going to fire weapons at each other anymore doesn't, like, what are the details here? What are the specifics of this? Has Iran guaranteed that it won't do a nuclear bomb? Is Israel going to stop bombing Gaza? Like, what's going on here? What is this? Are they now going to turn to Yemen? Like, what? I don't know. Iran has launched missiles at a US base. Witnesses report hearing loud. Oh yeah, we already know about all this. Yeah. We covered that at the start. But thank you for the link, Story Girl.
Announcement of the ceasefire, saying that the war could have gone on for years, and it would have destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't, he said, and it never will. Of course, that is if the ceasefire does come into fruition.
All right, that's Al Jazeera's Heidi Jo Castro reporting live for us from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Marcel, shall we just announce that there's a ceasefire between Britain and France? If we're just gonna make stuff up or whatever, there's a ceasefire between Britain and France. We had been bombing each other with bombs of the mind, but now we're chill. It's good. We're just vibing, you know.
A possible ceasefire, but still we have to keep in mind that the reality on the ground is something else. First of all, this is the point that I would like to put emphasis that we haven't received any official reaction, as it is 2/3.
No, don't get me wrong, Maria. When I say what the subterfuge is, I don't mean that he's playing like 4D chess or anything like that. I'm not giving him credit here. He is just lying. I know he's just lying, but it's to what's the kind of what comes next that I'm trying to work out. And it could be that there is nothing next, as in he doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow or tonight or whatever. He hasn't decided, or JD Vance hasn't decided, or Stephen Miller hasn't decided, or Elon Musk hasn't decided, whatever. Whatever. But like, there clearly isn't a ceasefire. Or if there is, it's like a forestalling tactic to give Israel time to like rearm or to, I don't know, fucking reconfigure the fucking Iron Dome or some shit. I don't know. But whatever it is, then there's something underneath this. It's the next step that doesn't seem to make any fucking sense. You know? We'll see.
Speaking, it sounds a little bit odd because Trump is asking one side of the story to continue their strikes and the other one to keep silent and do nothing. That doesn't seem really fair, but I'm not sure what the official response from the Iranian side is going to be. We have to, as I told you earlier, we have to keep waiting for the early reactions from Iranian sides. We have already tried to contact some officials.
Glasgow just declared
no
war on the Isle of
response
Man.
so far.
Let's
We are
go.
closely following the developments, but it's
The Faroe Islands has declared war. Yes. You know what? I'm joining the war on the Faroe Islands. On the side of the Faroe Islands.
to stop their strikes targeting different places across the country here in Tehran, and whether Iran is going to accept to stop other retaliations, because the country has seen some, let's say, damages to the infrastructures of nuclear facilities, of military sites, and very ordinary citizens here in the capital and across the country. So whether Iran is going to stop there to pave the way for a de-escalation,
No, declare.
or no,
Yeah,
going
just
to,
do a ceasefire.
let's say, listen to
Yeah,
the
I'll declare a ceasefire tomorrow between Britain and the Faroe Islands, and then I get the Nobel Peace Prize. And then it's like me, Barack Obama, and Nelson Mandela. Boom, let's go.
Friday, across the country, people were there to chant against Israel, to chant against the U.S., and saying that, okay, we demand a retaliation. Also, after this recent U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, we saw the similar demand by some of the Iranian people calling for retaliation. And this is going to be a serious question, how Iran is going to be dealing with those demands, how Iran is going to formulate its next steps down the road. For that, we have to keep waiting, as the pace of developments seems to be extremely high.
Tawhid, as you mentioned, the pace of developments, they have been remarkable the past few hours. It will be interesting to see, as you suggest, would Iran actually accept the timeline that's been laid out by Trump, where he is indicating that Iran would cease firing on Israel before Israel would cease firing on Iran. Let me also shift attention to what happened hours before the announcement of the ceasefire, which was those missiles launched by Iran towards the Al Udeid air base in Qatar. I want to ask you, what's the last word that we heard from Iranian officials when it came to that action? Has Iran said that that officially is over?
Well, indeed, from the statements that we hear from IRGC as well as the Supreme Council for National Security, it seems that there is no interest for further escalation. They're trying to send this clear message to the regional countries, including Qatar. They're saying that we've got no intention to harm the warm relations between Iran and Qatar. They're saying that this is something between Iran and the United States, and they're just targeting the military assets of the United States in the region. No, let's say, intention seems to be there to actually put a sort of harm on the ties between Iran and neighboring Arab countries. And also, we have to keep in mind that they were trying their best over the past few years to establish improved, better ties with regional countries. And also, they're saying that this is part of a retaliation. Whether this is going to be finished, whether this is going to be the last part, is something is still, we don't have any information, but it's still, if you look at this statement from IRGC, they said that we use the same number of missiles to...
Much bigger news from America. So I need to tell you this. The New York Mets baseball team have added Dickie Lovelady to their active roster. Dickie Lovelady. Which, I'll be honest with you, sounds like the kind of name that J.K. Rowling would give to, like, a straight character in one of her books, I think. But why wouldn't you be smug? With a name like Dickie Lovelady. Come on now. Absolutely beautiful activity.
The fact that you had heard...
I don't think we're going to get around to listening to David Lammy, which is no massive loss in all honesty.
Well, look, there were air raid sirens that went off, and the Israeli military says that sirens sounded in the occupied Golan Heights after a suspected drone infiltration, but no word on if they were intercepted or if they made impact. Those sirens.
Wow, so much ceasefire happening right now. Isn't it fucking nice? The quiet.
Iran has fired more than 500 ballistic missiles and more than 1,000 drones in retaliation to the Israeli attacks that began on June 13th, just 12 days ago now. Now, Hamad, with all this news about the ceasefire, I do want to report that the Israeli Security Cabinet has just ended a meeting and that Netanyahu has reportedly given his ministers a gag order, meaning not to speak about the situation at hand, which is why...
So there's... This is the first he's hearing of it as well. He's put a gag order on them so that they don't go around going... What ceasefire? What's the deal here? What? There's no way Netanyahu hasn't got a fucking clue what he's talking about. Netanyahu is like literally like fucking dialing Washington now. Like, what the fuck are you doing? What do you mean? They're flattening Tel Aviv. Oh, amazing.
Difficult to ascertain until there is an official statement what the Israeli position is going forward when it comes to this announcement from U.S. President Donald Trump that a ceasefire between Iran and Israel has been agreed to. But let me ask you this, based on what you've seen across the Israeli media landscape the past few days, does it seem as though there is momentum in Israel towards the idea that they would accept a ceasefire, that they have achieved their aims when it comes to the conflict that they initiated with Iran?
Well, several hours ago, before all of this news had broke, Netanyahu was actually speaking to Israel's far-right Channel 14, saying that Israel is really close to achieving what it wanted to in Iran by depleting its nuclear capabilities and also destroying military assets inside of the country. And anonymous officials who were speaking to Israeli media at that time had said that there is this sort of...
Don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, you can hit the follow button and subscribe and do biz messages and become a member and do super chats. These are all things you can do. As I personally do all of the journalism of breaking this news for you.
From the Israeli defense minister earlier on Monday had said that the coming days for Iran would be incredibly difficult, meaning that they would strike incredibly much stronger. Those are his words, that they were going to use a lot more power from the air to deplete Iran's capabilities. Now, what else they're saying is that, look, if the war ended, if this agreement was reached, Israel still reserved the right to respond and hit Iran if they felt, one, any sort of threat, but also if they saw that Iran was rearming, if they felt that Iran was rebuilding the nuclear facilities that, according to the U.S., have been obliterated, but still there has been nothing official from the Israeli government. It's worth mentioning that Netanyahu himself, along with all of his government officials, have repeatedly broken ceasefire agreements in the past. We saw this in Lebanon and we saw this in Gaza, and it's actually still ongoing in Lebanon because that agreement is still in place, though fragile. During the ceasefire in Gaza several months ago, there were continuous Israeli strikes and hundreds of people who were killed because Israel claimed that there were violations of the agreement, which gave them this green light to respond. They say the same thing about attacking what they call targets in southern Lebanon and assassinating other officials related to Hezbollah. So there are a lot of concerns about a ceasefire agreement when it comes to Israel maintaining it because some of their conditions are so severe. Iran not rebuilding any sort of nuclear facilities, Iran not rearming, not continuing to build weapons, but still nothing official from the Israeli Prime Minister.
All right, that's Al Jazeera's Hamda Salhoud joining us live from Amman in Jordan. Thanks so much, Hamda. Adam Clements is a U.S. foreign policy analyst and former Pentagon official. He joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Adam, thanks so much for being with us here on Al Jazeera. Let me ask you first, there have been so many developments the past few days and the past few hours. You had the U.S. striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Then you had the U.S. suggesting that regime change might be possible in Iran. At least that's what President Trump said on Truth Social at one point. Tonight you have Donald Trump saying God bless Iran while announcing on Truth Social that there has been a ceasefire agreed to between Iran and Israel. What do you think this means when it comes to the U.S.'s stance in the Middle East right now?
Thank you, Mohammed. I think the term that we've used most often is strategic ambiguity. I think that there's still, as all of your correspondents have said, both the Israelis and the Iranians...
It's not strategic. It's not strategic. It's just Trump doing what Trump does. Bullshitting. Going on vibes and feels. It's nothing. There's no strategic anything. He's not fucking playing 4D chess. After over a decade now of him being involved in politics, you think they'd fucking get it? You think they'd get that he's not playing 4D chess? There's no like special game that's being undertaken here. He's just bullshitting. Doesn't this mess just make you hate Obama and his policy to look forward, not back? Not accuse GWB of war crimes like he should have been. Well, no, I mean, like, to be fair, in this one specific instance is the only success he really had on the international stage, I think. In terms of foreign policy, unless I'm wrong, the only success he ever had was the Iran nuclear deal. And the only reason the Republicans hated it was because he was black. You can't have a black man being effective and good at anything. Because, like, Obama fucked up Syria. He fucked up Libya. He He basically did nothing to stop Russia from taking Crimea. Like, in terms of foreign policy, he was shite. The Iran thing was the only good thing he ever fucking did. And it was ripped up instantly because... you know, racism, basically. Racism and fucking idiocy. Are there still arseholes claiming he's not a politician? Probably. Probably.
How are things enforced? How are grievances through third parties aired? And then you go back to the same fundamental question as far as the Iranian nuclear program.
Nuclear.
Is it now going to go more clandestine? Since the U.S. has taken out, ostensibly at least set it back several months. So there are so many different questions that we have to ask ourselves, really.
Adam, let me get your perspective on the fact that there were some remarkable scenes playing out in the U.S. over the course of the past week. At one point, you had Donald Trump rebuking his head of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Who
They're just
testified a few months
going over old shit. Basically, there's no fucking news here. Like, okay, I'm going to wrap it up for the night. There's no news here, right? There is no fucking ceasefire. I'm calling it official now. There is no fucking ceasefire. This is another Donald Trump MacGuffin. It's nothing. That's it. There is no ceasefire. The war continues. It might be a quieter war, but yeah. Also, the media has exposed itself as being nothing more than the stenographers of the powerful. Because Trump tweeted out a load of shit, completely and utterly, total bollocks, and rather than fact-checking any of it, they just went, yeah, let's just put that out there, like that means something. Like, the fact that Trump said it and there's no independent corroboration for it means you should deny it. Not that you should be skeptical of it, that you should outright deny it until there is somebody else, some other organisation, some other governmental institution which is actually can corroborate that information. You should just reject it. You should just go, no, we're not putting that on the fucking air. This is not fit for public consumption. Because he's a bullshitter. What's going on in Gaza? Well, the Israel are killing Palestinians, as always. That tends to be the way they do things. It's rather grotesque, isn't it? Can we raid into Sukaragor? I don't know what the fuck that is, but okay. I will take that suggestion and run with it. Oh no, that's not what I meant to do at all. Right, let's see who's going on YouTube first. Okay, I'll be back probably later today with something. There'll be news. We'll find out the way in which Trump lied or whatever, and there won't be a fucking ceasefire, probably. There's no one on YouTube. Brilliant. Okay, so if you're on YouTube, go to enjoy your evening, I guess. Or come over to the Twitch, and I'll send you into whatever the fuck I've been asked to raid into. So Sakuragor. I don't know who this person is.
All good.
But I'm going to raid into them because this.
That was close.
You are unable to raid. So presumably the person you've asked me to raid into has it set up that you have to be a follower, or or something, or they have to follow you, or whatever. Sorry. So we'll choose somebody else to raid into. The Noisy Immigrant is going. So I'll send you over there. They're watching, I think they're watching Al Jazeera as well. So enjoy, I guess. Yeah, I'll be back later today. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Thank you so much for all of your support. Don't believe the lies. Free Palestine. No pass around.
News media, Fox News.
Oh, shit.